Social media users have been reportedly misunderstanding one another's cultural contexts. Just imagine it, the very idea. Every Brit I know thinks of Americans as bonkers, and every American that I'm friends with regards Brits as bananas. Brits wonder whether the US of A has lost its collective mind over guns, while Americans are convinced that Brits are dead-eyed slaves of an ever-increasing state intent on owning and disposing of our children. If Britain were to direct America the movie, it would be a Wild West shoot-'em-up in which crazed freedom lovers shred each other with AR-15s, crying, "America!" If America were to direct Britain the movie, it would be a dystopian sci-fi where grey men in suits called Ian calmly requisition children from their Cockney parents who complain, "This is bang out of order." Both caricatures are, of course, 100% correct, and as an Australian, I say, a pox on both your houses. You're both right. Not about yourselves, you're largely deluded about yourselves, but you're both on the money when it comes to the madness of those fools on the other side of the pond. It seems to me that America and Britain are both addicts, but they're addicted to different substances. America prefers the cocaine-like myth of violence. Britain is hooked on a heroin-like salvation by the state, but both are junkies. You know that you're addicted when you turn to your problem as though it were your solution. Hungover? Have another drink. In debt to the casino? Gamble your way out. Addictions dress themselves up as the answer when underneath they are the problem. This is precisely what we see in, for instance, the US with gun violence. School shootings? I know, arm the teachers. You know you're addicted when you turn to your problem as though it were your solution. Now listen, I know the problem goes deeper than gun ownership, I know. I know it won't be solved by more laws and confiscations, but hear me out. It goes deeper than one-off mental health issues too. There is a profound spiritual problem in a culture when nihilism so grips people that increasing numbers want to end everything in a hail of bullets. But the myth of violence, the myth that our troubles are solved by a muscle-bound hero with an Uzi, that's at the heart of the problem. And multiplying the lethal force out there in the community is to feed the problem, not to counter it. You're an addict, America, and consider this your intervention. At this point, the Brits are saying, "Preach it, brother!" Well, let me turn to you. In Britain, the drug of choice is the state. My favorite example is when the news ever reports on the obesity epidemic. What is the proposed solution? The state steps in and says, "I can fix obesity." Really, the government can fix obesity? Yeah, they say, let's have, some kind of tax. It'll be a wonderful tax, the sweetest tax ever, a sugar tax. That's how they will solve the problem. We give them our money. That sounds like pretty much their solution to everything, like the NHS. When the news reports that the NHS is the envy of the world, it's really not. It simultaneously tells us that it is profoundly broken. Never mind how both those things can be the case, we then ask what is the solution, and the solution apparently is more NHS, a bigger NHS. What else could there possibly be? Literally no one can imagine anything other than an increasing megalith called the National Health Service. At this point, the Brits are saying, did he just criticize the National Health Service? Maybe I did. Is that allowed? How does the old quote go? To find out who rules your culture, just ask, who are you not able to criticize? And without doubt, in the UK, you are not able to criticize the NHS. This doesn't mean that the American healthcare system is the solution. It's really not. If I got sick in America, I couldn't afford the bills. If I get sick in Britain, I can't afford the 17-year waiting lists. But here's a thought. It might not be a straight choice between Britain and the US. There are 193 other countries in the world. Just saying. But when Americans look into the UK and see a sick child, Alfie Evans, refused care by a hospital and then held against the parents' wishes with the judiciary siding against the family, and then when the apparatus of state power is turned up to 11 with rows of police standing guard outside the hospital to ensure that the child is protected from his parents, who are trying, however poorly, however tragically, to make a stand for life, well, those crazy Yanks across the pond, they get it in their head that the state might be overstepping their God-given boundaries. Is it possible that the Americans have a point? But then what do the Americans suggest? I'm not making this up. Prominent pro-gun advocates in the States have said that if Alfie was their son, they would go to a hospital with a gun and bust him out of there. And at the same time, Brits want to go to America and have the state solve all the gun problems by taking all the guns at the point of a gun. It's crack addicts offering heroin addicts crack, and heroin addicts offering crack addicts heroin. Come away with me, children. Come away to a place where the myth of violence is overturned by cheek-turning love, and where the smothering domination of the state is replaced by a community of grace. Come away to the kingdom of God where Jesus says, put away your sword. The sword of violence, the sword of state power. Put away your sword and live free. It's April the 30th. This is Speak Life, and you're watching the livecast.
Livecast, welcome to the livecast, livecast, welcome to the show. Livecast, welcome to the livecast, livecast, welcome to the show.